Hello guys, welcome back. Now today, I want to talk about the Washington Capitals and basically my worry for them because I really don't know how far they're going to go in the playoffs, so let's discuss that very topic. Now, of course, everybody knows the Capitals struggles to get past second round, and they haven't done that so far. Ovechkin hasn't even gone past the second round in his whole career, so Capitals have really got some, I want to say, expectations on their shoulders, but for the past couple of years, they've been probably the most pressured team to succeed in the playoffs and probably the most favorited team in the last couple of years to win the Stanley Cup, and of course, that hasn't happened. Now the Capitals are 32, 17, and 7 in the Metro, first in the Metropolitan. And honestly, even though they're first in the Metropolitan, they've probably been kind of under the radar for probably this whole season. They really haven't had the expectations that they've had on the shoulders, probably because they don't have the gigantic names that they've had in the past. Of course, Shattenkirk left in the offseason. There's lots of guys that have kind of went off to other teams now, and the Capitals have shed some depth there. And they kind of have less expectations because they have less great players on that team. Now, if the Capitals started the playoffs today, they would face New Jersey in the first round. And honestly, New Jersey is a pretty tough opponent for them. They play pretty fierce at. New Jersey is a pretty good matchup for them. I feel like that series would be pretty fun. New Jersey's fast, young, and really the Capitals are going to have a tough time getting past them. I think that if they did meet up in the first round, I think the Capitals will get past them, but just barely. I'd say in 6 or 7 games. I think New Jersey will give a pretty good fight for Washington, especially if Corey Schneider is on his game like he has been this season. And I think that New Jersey would give them quite the fight and would wear them down quite a bit in the first round, which is terrible news for them trying to get past the second round. The way things are looking, the Penguins look to be making the second round and to be on a roll here, so I don't really have any expectations for them if the Capitals may face them in the second round. I'm really just no expectation, really. I hope that they do good, but the Penguins, I think, will have their number once again. Really, they're the kryptonite of the Washington Capitals, and that's going to be probably the toughest thing in the world. Like, all of the Capitals really have in their minds is the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that's really good for the Pittsburgh Penguins to get in their mind and have them in their mind for the last couple of years now. It's really good for the Pittsburgh Penguins to have them just set on the Penguins because they can expose them really easily in the second round if they have all their focus on the Penguins. And of course, the classic tale, it is football, but in the NFL, the Steelers have all their focus on the Patriots, and then they lose against the Jaguars. So you can't have really your expectation to beat a team when you haven't even beaten the team in front of you. That's the big thing there. Not until this pressure this season, it seems like the Capitals haven't really been in much trade rumors this season, which is good for them because they acquire a big name like Kevin Shattenkirk from last season. They got just more pressure on their shoulders to do better and to get past the second round. So I think that making less trades at the trade deadline is really good for them to have less pressure on their backs. It's really what it comes down to. If they can have less pressure, they can probably do a lot better than they would. It seems like the kind of team that just crumbles with the pressure, and it seems like the Capitals will do a lot better without it. So the goaltenders right now, they have Holtby with a .913 save percentage, while Grubauer is at a .913. That's just not really cutting it, really. Holtby has a .282 goals against average. Grubauer with a .269 goals against average. Grubauer has one shutout, while Holtby doesn't even have one. So Holtby I think he's at like 45 games. He hasn't had a shutout in 45 games. That's pretty ridiculous for him, at least. Comparing those numbers to last season, Holtby had a .925 save percentage, while Grubauer had a .926 save percentage last season. The goals against Holtby had a 2.07 goals against average, while Grubauer had a 2.04 goals against average. So big differences on those numbers. Obviously, both goaltenders are at .913 right now, and both goaltenders were doing fantastic last season, and they kind of fallen off. So has the defense a little bit. A couple of guys have stepped up on the Capitals defense, but overall, the Capitals defense is a lot worse than last season, at least in the regular season. Now, I'm going to read their lines or at least their current lines from dailyfaceoff.com. The first line is Ovechkin with 61 points, Backstrom at the center role at 43 points, and Wilson on the wing at 23 points. I like Wilson. I like his play. So having him on the wing with Ovechkin, that's pretty fun. And that line is at least pretty solid there. On the second line, they've got Connolly with 18 points. He has 14 goals, so he's not doing terrible. Kuznetsov with 54 points and Oshie with 32 points. I would like to see Connolly. I like on a good team, Connolly is definitely not on the second line, so that is a bit of a worry there. They probably have a bit of a depth issue on the wing there, but Connolly isn't terrible. He isn't just abysmal. At least you got a guy who has 14 goals there. Burakovsky on the third line with 12 points. His Corsi is amazing. His Fenwick is great. So I think that the numbers, at least the points-wise, are kind of misleading. He's playing very well for himself. Eller at the center role, 29 points. He's really leading that line. He's doing very well for himself. And Chasen with 11 points. He's doing pretty well. He's kind of that grinder. I don't expect him to get that many points, but for what he's worth, really, he's not doing terrible. Now, the fourth line, you got Tyler Stevenson, with 14 points. He's not doing too bad for himself on the fourth line. That's pretty good. Have 14 points, that's decent. On the fourth line, center role, they have Beagle at 19 points. So their center depth is really good. Beagle's having a decent season there. For fourth line minutes, that's not bad at all. For 19 points, you'll definitely take that. Smith Pellet with 16 points. Again, he's not doing terrible. So that fourth line is not bad at all. I don't even know if they need any forward depth there. And they got some solid guys in the AHL, so I don't even know if they'll need to buy at the deadline. And not listed on here, you have Jacob Vrana at 18 points, 51 Corsi for percentage, and why he's not on here, I don't know, but I guess he's been scratched a couple of games. That might be why he's not on here. And then onto the defense, you got Juice with Carlson for that first pairing. Juice has been really, really solid for the Capitals. Actually, pretty underrated. Looking at his stats, he's pretty good. You got Niskanen and Orlov as a second pairing, and Orpik and Bowie. Juice has a 50.8% Fenwick 4 percentage, which is really, really good. I think it's the best on the team. Carlson has a 46.3%. Niskanen 47.7%, and Orlov 49.5%. He's doing pretty well. Orpik, 40.8%. That's brutal. Orpik has been a bad defenseman for a long, long time. And having that contract with the Capitals has really hurt them. And Bowie with 44%. He's not doing too great for them. Though Juice is the bright spot on that defense, he has been playing really well with Carlson. I think that Juice is probably upping Carlson. Really, Juice is playing very well for himself and really blowing expectations away. He's really, really playing well, and I really do like him because of his name. Really, I gotta be honest, I love that name. And for the deadline, I could see the Capitals maybe getting like one depth defenseman, maybe a top 6 guy, just one guy to replace. I don't know if they're gonna take out Orpik or like Bowie, but I don't really want them to take out Orpik. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but they got to replace Orpik because he's just not working at all. He's just being trash, and really, you just got to get rid of him as soon as possible. Just send him in the AHL. Do whatever you can. And now I got to ask for the question: how far they can get in the playoffs, and can they get past the second round? Now, I'm going to make a prediction here. If the Washington Capitals don't finish first in the division, let's say the Pittsburgh Penguins pass them, and if the Penguins don't face them off in the second round, let's say the Penguins maybe get beaten in the first round, something like that. If the Washington Capitals don't face Penguins in the second round, and they aren't first in the division, I'm going to say that they do get past the second round this year. Mostly because the pressure is way away from last season. The last season was just ridiculous. Everybody was hopping on the hype train. And this season, we really don't see much of the Capitals. You really don't hear too much about the Capitals and how they're a fantastic team. So I think that the pressure is way away for this team, and I think that's a great thing for them. I think that the depth will come through. I think that guys like Oshie will have a big second round as usual. Burakovsky is a young guy, and they have lots of young guys that can really help them in the playoffs. And I think that if they get the right amount of goaltending and the right amount of defense, and of course don't choke, I can definitely see them getting back the second round this year. But if they face the Penguins off in the second round, I don't see it happening. The Penguins just love to give the Washington Heartbreakers, and I think if they face them off in the second round, I think the same thing will happen. I think the Penguins will beat them. I don't know how quick it'll be, if it'll be in 4, 5, 6, or 7, but I'd say that Penguins do beat the Capitals, especially if they face them in the first round or the second round. And I could see it being a close series, but once again, all those other series where it was Washington and Pittsburgh, they were all close series, but of course Pittsburgh always edges them out, and that's a scary fight for Capitals. And if Capitals don't face them though in the second round, again, I think they'll get past it. And a lot of it does depend on guys like Holtby coming up strong in the second round and getting over past the playoffs. He loves to play great in the first round and play great in the second round until it comes where it matters, until the late games. He loves to choke really in the last seconds, and unfortunately Holtby doesn't make the key saves that the Washington Capitals really do need to get past the second round. Of course, the Penguins got the clutch goals in the last couple of years against the Washington Capitals, and I think that Holtby needs to make a couple of stops more, and he'll get past the second round. It's as simple as that, really. Especially if Ovechkin is going to call himself the captain, he definitely needs to come up big with goals, especially in the second round. He hasn't really been the key guy that gets the clutch goals in the second round like other guys have on the Capitals have gotten the goals in the second round. Ovechkin likes to stay quiet really in the second round, and he hasn't played that great the last couple of years, especially in the second round. So I think that he definitely needs to come up big for them, and if he does, I think the Capitals will have a much better chance at least of making it and getting past it. Well, that's good video, guys. Like and subscribe if you have not. Ring that bell if you haven't. Happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.